Hello, guys. Okay, so the topic for today is called evidence of common ancestry. So we're gonna talk about to the whole week different things that we use as evidence. So like proof that we have to prove evolution. So you're gonna copy the stuff that's on red. So again, only copy the red. Here we go. Move my face over here. So day one, common ancestry. By the end of today, you need to know three things. So I know that all living organisms have a common ancestor. I know what a homology is, and then I recognize that similarities between organisms is evidence for common ancestry. So pretty much like I was telling you, these are the things that we use as proof about to kind of say that evolution did occur. So the theory of evolution. So the theory of evolution is a well-tested explanation of how life has developed and slowly changed on Earth over time, obviously. So now we have the horses. Horses. Before they kind of look like this. How do we know? Because there's different proof. And then before that, they look like this. And before they look like this. And before they look like this. Again, it is not the same horse. We talked about that before. The population changes, not the organism. So all the horses slowly change. Not one horse is gonna evolve. So go ahead and copy this down. It's the first blank. Let me make my face smaller. So common ancestry. So here we have a kind of like a not a family tree. This is actually called like a cladogram. We'll talk about this later. It shows like it's like the tree of life, you can say. It has all the different animals or whatever that in the world, all the different sections of types of animals, and also plants because they're all connected. And everything you see, everything's connected back here. So everything, all these animals, all these plants come to this point right here. So all species are descendant with modifications from a previous species. So for example, it says that you started here and now we're humans are over here, right? Now, apes, right? Monkeys, apes, and humans, they come from the same thing, but they're not the same. So do not get confused. A lot of students think that a monkeys come from humans or humans come from monkeys. That's not really true. Okay, we have a common ancestor, and we'll talk about that. All life on Earth shares a common ancestor. So the monkey and the human, they're connected right here. Zebra and monkey, they're connected right here, and so on, right? Even us, like the humans and the plants, we are connected all the way back here, but we are connected. So that's what we say we have a common ancestor. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So, is evolution just a theory? Like, is this just something that somebody made up? No, that is not what happened. There is actual proof to say that this is actually true. So, not simply a guess or an idea. A theory is a well tested hypothesis that has many types of evidence supporting it. So, somebody didn't just make it up. We have a proof. And this is the four different types of proof that we have. Number one is homology. Number two is DNA comparisons and tree diagrams. Number three is fossil records. Number four is biogeography. The first three are the most important ones. For today, it's going to be a short one. It's going to be only talking about number one, which is homology. So copy this down. This is going to go on the right side of your notes. The section says homology equals and then line. Copy that down, please. So homology, or sometimes they call it homologous structures. They are anatomically similar structures inherited from a common ancestor. So for example, if you were to compare the bones of a reptile, the bones of a bird, and the bones of a human, we all have the same type of structure. Obviously, one crawls in four legs, one flies, and the other one walks. They're all very different, but they have the same different bone structures. That is called homologous structure. Homo means the same. Remember, we talked about that before. So homo means the same. Structures is just like a part of the body. So same structure or similar structures. Okay. So in this case, the blue is like the spinal cord, like the backbone. Sorry, backbone. The blues are the bones that connect to the thorax, to the main like body part. Excuse me. The skull is gonna be like the light blue or kind of like a cyan teal color, and the hands with the fingers are uh, the red, and so on. You get the idea, right? So pretty much, what does the reptile, bird, and a human have in common? They have homologous structures. They have structures that they are kind of similar to each other, even though they do look very differently. So here's another one. Check for understanding. Oh, by the way, do not copy this. Okay, you don't have to copy this red. Sorry. So, true or false? Do humans share homologous structures with turtle, bat, and what else? And whale. I'm supposed to say whale here. So, human, turtle, bat, whale. This one has a humerus, radius, ulna, carpal, metacarpal, and phalanges. Look at the turtle. They're color coded. Look at the bat. They're color coded. Look at the whale. Color coded. So yes, they do. They do have homologous structure. They do share the same bone structure. So in the correct order, we all have it. Even a turtle, which could be tiny, they still have the same number of bones that we do. They're obviously different sizes, but they do. What about the bat? Same. Okay, they have the same type of bones. Look, they're color coded right here. Obviously, the one with the wings are super long because they need them. Even the whale is huge. It has the same number of bones that we do. So you can say that this is evidence to say that we all come from the same thing. So the question here says, what homologous structures do humans have in common with the bat, with the turtle, bat, and whale? This is all messed up. Sorry, guys. And it's all the different bones. Humerus, radius, ulnar, carpal, metacarpal, phalanges. Okay. So check for understanding again. Humans, birds, whales, and lizards all have a similar arm bones. What is the reason for this? So the thing about this type of questions, guys, let me make myself a little bit bigger. The thing about this is that it's all gonna come back to being, for that first picture I showed you, it's a common ancestor. So if you're talking about something like common ancestor or homologous structures, that's gonna be the answer. So what is the reason for the bird, human, whales, lizards to have all the same bones? Let me read them to you. A, all organisms have similar structures as well as whales? No, because it says all organisms. That is not true. Okay, a worm is an organism. A plant is an organism. Plant doesn't even have bones. So they all live in the same environment. Do you live underwater? Because the whale does. You don't. So no. C, the function of those bones are similar to all animals. You have to be careful. The function is what they do. Do you use your hands to fly like a bird? Because the bird uses their hands, right? Their wings to fly. No, you don't. So the answer that's not right. And the last one, they have a homologous structure. Period. That's it. Easy. The answer is D. Now, let's move on to the next thing. Another type of homology, right? Homology is like the things that we have in common. It's called embryology or the embryos. An embryo is like, you have the sperm and the egg, they come together, they make a cell that's called a zygote. The zygote is going to start forming itself into a little baby. But before it forms a baby, it's going to be this, honestly, it looks kind of like a shrimp. That's called an embryo. So it's the baby still being formed. So the definition here says embryo, the earliest stage of growth in organisms. So this is when it first starts. After you have that one cell, the zygote, and it makes 2, and then 4, and then it starts organizing itself into a slowly like a baby. Now, I want you to look at these pictures. You have a lizard, you have a turtle, a pig, and a human. Similar embryo development may suggest a common ancestor. When they start, we all look the same, pretty much. Look at the lizard, look at the turtle, look at the pig, look at the human. You see? We're all pretty much starting to look the same. Then as we grow with time, we start changing. And you end up with a lizard, a turtle, a pig, and a human. But at the beginning, This is what embryology is. We all start the same. Here's another picture. Copy this down. Oops, sorry, I forgot to tell you. Copy this down too. Let's go to the next one. Vertebrate embryos exhibit homologous structures but become totally different in adult forms. So at the beginning, they all look the same. At the end, you have a fish, salamander, turtle, chick, hog, cat, rabbit, and human. So they all look different at the end, but at the beginning, they all look the same. This is what embryology is. Okay, embryo, study of embryos. Copy this down. Let's move on. Here's another picture. It's like a real life picture, not a drawing. So you have the chicken, possum, cat, bat, and there's something that you're a human. It's just cut off. Sorry. Now, last thing that I'm going to mention is vestigial structures. Vestigial is something that we used to have back in the day. Like back in the day, like our ancestors, but we don't. So, like for example, did you know that whales used to have legs, and they still kind of do? They're just really, 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 really small, and they're inside of their skin right now because they don't need to walk anymore. So let me explain. A vestigial structure is a structure that has no use in an organism. Vestigial structures show how organisms change over time. So this is the whale now. This is a whale, 100 million years ago. This is another whale 500 million years ago, and so on, so on, so on. They used to be in the water. Sorry, they used to be in the land. Then they started going into the water, and they started evolving. After like a million years, they evolved into this like rat-looking thing. And they started swimming because there was fish. So, it's easier to go swimming and catching fish than it is to, hunt. So they started getting into the water. They started living more in the water. So with like another 100,000 years or whatever, they started evolving. Their claws started becoming more like kind of like web feet, like the ducks, and then changing and changing and changing onto a one. And again, it's not the same one. This is after like thousands of generations, thousands of years or whatever. Maybe like they're like, what? If I'm swimming like this, maybe it'll be easier if I do this. And their fingers started fusing with time, and then now they have a whole like a fin. They don't have fingers anymore. It's just a whole fin. It's all together. Because remember, if you look inside, they still have fingers, but they're just all together. Like the first picture I'll show you. They can still do this, but their fin is just one whole thing. Because again, that helps them swim better. Okay, and lastly, so vestigial structures, another example, wisdom teeth. Like we have wisdom teeth that used to help us back in the day when we used to eat a lot of like raw meat. When we killed, like again, I'm not talking about me, but I'm talking about like humans. Like back whenever like the cavemen and stuff, just kind of tearing meat out. Plants, just like plants. You need extra teeth. They need to be a strong mouth. Now we don't. So we don't even have room. Our mouths are smaller. So whenever we get those teeth, they have to take them out because you don't have room. It's gonna mess up all your mouth. It's gonna hurt and everything. So we take them out. Also the tailbone. At the end of your spinal cord, all the way down, you have a little bone. It's called tailbone. And again, we don't have a tail. You can't even see it, right? But back in the day, our ancestors had a tail. And then we just evolved not to use it. Monkeys use it to grab things. We don't use that. We have hands. We have thumbs. And it's just easier this way. So we slowly started getting shorter, until eventually it's still there, but it's just very, very tiny. Okay? So that's the end of the notes for today. You'll be doing the rest on the next day. Thanks.